Hello, friends, and thank you for checking out the Paseo podcast. My name is Josue Ortiz, and I help edit the Paseo episodes for our YouTube channel. We ran into a little bit of technical difficulties with Zoom on this episode, so you'll go ahead and notice that the clips start a little bit later on. But stick with us because it's a great episode, and we are sure you will enjoy it. If you want to skip to the video, you can go ahead and click the time link right here. If not, sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. Thank you so much, and enjoy the Paseo podcast.
Bienvenidos a todos. It is December 28th. We are recording episode, I really don't know because I haven't put together the schedule yet, but this is the Paseo podcast. Ultimately, even though we're recording this earlier than you're hearing it, we're happy that you're listening to it whenever, wherever you are. So thank you for downloading this episode. We have a very special international guest. We have Naomi Bonafoux from London's Puerto Rican Diaspora. I know there's a diaspora in London. Boricuas are everywhere. But beyond that, she's also an actress and an activist. So Naomi, very happy to have you on the Paseo podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, guys. It's so exciting.
We're super excited to have you here.
There is a diaspora everywhere, Puerto Rican diaspora everywhere, indeed. Yes, I'm really happy to be here. I've been in London for 12 years. I have ended up living in London for so long by accident. It has been great to be here for so long and to, I don't know, become an adult, a strong woman in London. Happy and blessed.
Well, we're happy and blessed that you're on the show. For people listening, I saw this piece in, I believe, the Southwest Londoner, and it was talking about the Puerto Rican diaspora and their ability to organize, especially around the Ricardo Rosselló protests, the Hurricane Maria, and the banner image on the article is Naomi doing like what's that, the rock on symbol with this like dope ass protest signs. There's banderas in the photo. So I'm like, okay, we got to figure out how to get this Latina on the show. So very happy that you're on the show today. Let's start with your roots. What part of Puerto Rico are you and your family from?
So yes, I grew up in the south parts of Puerto Rico, a very small town called Guayanilla. It's near Ponce, for those that are familiar with. It's a very small town, 6,000 people. And I grew up in a very, very small barrio, they call it, called Macana, surrounded by family. They call the bit where I live Tierra Santa, Holy Land, because everyone is religious. I grew up there surrounded by mango trees and waterfalls.
Que bueno. Before we started recording, Naomi, I was asking you, because I think names are important, so I want to make sure if I'm going to pronounce a name, I want to know how it's pronounced properly, because I want to be respectful, right? I can't tell you with a name like Smyser-DeLeon, can't tell you how many people, I've heard Smyser in so many different, different versions. So when I saw Bonafoux, I said, well, that sounds like a French last name. What's the story behind that? And you mentioned that there's a connection to Haiti. So would you mind sharing that with our listeners?
Yeah. So basically, I'm a descendant of slavery, and my great-great-great-grandfather came from Haiti to Puerto Rico when they were building the rails. So there he met my great-great-great-grandmother, who was an iron woman. She used to iron for people. And so the descendants is from Haiti, basically. So I'm half Haitian, Caribbean, 100%.
In the article, it mentioned that you moved from Puerto Rico to London at age 27. I could never imagine leaving Chicago, let alone leaving to another country. But it said in the article that you went to get your master's degree in physical theater. So I was just curious, like of all places in the world to go study, why London?
Well, basically, I had an amazing time. When I left my small town, I went to the University of Puerto Rico, and I trained there to be an actor. I was part of the traveling theater company, the Teatro Rodante of University of Puerto Rico. But there was always a concern for me that my body wasn't really like engaged as I would have liked it to be. I didn't have any dancing training and stuff. So I found this program in London that I would get an MFA, like a Master of Fine Arts, that would be from an American university, Naropa University in Colorado, but they had this cooperation with this school in London. So basically, I would get a master's in London, but I didn't have to go to the US. I will do it in London completely, and it was an international school. So when I heard about this, my friends were doing it and recommended it to me. So I thought this is the most amazing opportunity for me to train my body and also learn English and have this once in a lifetime opportunity. So I applied. The Installas gave me the most amazing, beautiful recommendation letter and it got accepted. And that was it. I didn't really thought about it much or didn't really understood what I was getting myself into. At the time, I was like, yeah, let's go to London, right? I'm always adventurous. And I was a TV presenter at the time for WIPR, like the government channel. So I walked away from that and walked away from everything I had and just came to London just like that. Didn't really thought about it. I remember I saved like from commercials and adverts and jobs that I did. I saved like $6,000 that became £3,000 and just landed in London like a crazy lady.
Wow. $6,000, which means 3,000 pounds in your pocket.
In my pocket.
I'm just gonna go to another country.
I'm off. Mom, I'm off. Mom wants to see you.
What did your family say when you said, hey,
Well, I'm Taurus, so that means I always do what I want. I'm stubborn. Okay. Once I've decided something, it's very little chance that I'm not going to do it. Whether I'm going to fall or not, I will do it. And so I stuck to the decision. My mom was like, I can't really support you. She's a teacher in Puerto Rico, an arts teacher. I remember I did a benefit kind of party and my friends kind of like performed for me and they were so sweet in La Respuesta, which is like one of like the biggest venues and Fofito, the owner, he kind of like supported me, giving me the venue and my friend danced flamenco. There was stand-up comedy, music and everything. And it was like sort of like my farewell party and everyone was kind of like giving me a little bit of money for me to take with me. And it was naive, but it was also the best experience I've ever had because it really, I think there is a thing about growing up in an island and never leaving. I never had holidays. My mom could never afford anything. I never left the island. So there is a sort of like a short mentality where once you open and you come to a cosmopolitan city like London is, where, there's 900 dialects spoken here every single day. It's crazy the amount of brain wideness and knowledge that you will get from touching down in London is crazy. So it has been a great experience, I have to say.
Yeah, what a shift. What a change to go from the sun and plants and trees. I mean, you have all this greenery around you to now this very like Eurocentric architecture, very industrial, gloomier skies. Such a change.
Yeah, even the people as well. Like I think the British humor. At the beginning, I was like, oh, what do they mean? Like beggars can be choosers. I'm like, oh my God, she called me a beggar. And it's like, it's how they speak. It's like the way.
It's very much a dry sense of humor.
Completely. Yeah. And you're like, how are they so cold? I didn't understand anything. Yeah. Why people are so horrible? And it's like, it's not really. It's just the way they are. And I think I have become a bit of one of them as well.
I can totally relate to that. I mean, I love British humor. I like dry wit because I think my father really liked dry senses of humor. British humor is so specific.
It's so to the point.
It takes a while.
I remember watching TV, then I was like, how are they allowed to say this? It's like, so that's how I learned English as well, watching TV, like watching British humor and listening to David Bowie. And I was like, how are they allowed to speak like this? And it's just really like, just get on with it. Like, don't feel too much. Don't be emotional. Just appreciate it. It's not great. Like, I understand you're emotional, but like, cut it. Like, like.
And for Boricuas, we are so like, our hearts are on our sleeves. It's like total opposites.
I wear my heart on my sleeve. And right now, my current boss is like, he speaks beautifully and he's very human and he's British. I was talking to all the executive on a meeting that I had last week, and I was like, this is amazing. This is so refreshing refreshing. And he's like, yeah, but that's you. Like, that's how you are. It's like, yeah, I know. I've been here too long that when I see someone like that, I'm like amazed.
So you mentioned being in a meeting, talking with executives. What are you doing for a living now?
So I'm a trained actor, and at the moment I do part-time acting because I'm a single mother. So I have to look after my daughter. I send her to private school. So that comes with, living in one of the most expensive cities in the world. I do acting on the side. I work as, I'm the executive assistant of the chief commercial officer of financial technology startup.
I can only imagine, coming to a new country, trying to find a community of your own. I mean, what was that like?
It has been hard work. It has been definitely a journey. I had any job, every job. I've given away newspapers in the street on the cold. I've been a state agent. I've been a manager in hospitality. I've been a model, like an arts model. I've done the door of a club for 2 years. Like, it was Jimi Hendrix's job back in the day, and I did that job for 2 years in this by invitation early club. So I was basically in charge of choosing who's gonna handpick who was gonna come into the club. That was hard work. I think what it has taken me from one job to a better job to a better job to a better, and have kind of cushioned myself into the city has been being so personable and treating people with respect and giving the extra mile, and I think that's very much to do with being Puerto Rican, like being super welcoming and a yes person. And so clients and people just steal me from jobs and take me to this other job, and then someone steals me from here to take me to there. They're like, we need you here with us. It's always because I know somebody. If I go to, let's say, searching for a job website, my probabilities of finding a job are like zero, because my CV is so random that people are like, what is she doing? But it's because I go like from hand to hand. It has been like that. So although it has been difficult, and I had to really, really start from the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. I was presenting a show on the Sunday in Puerto Rico, and on the next Monday I was selling sandwiches on a bike in Canary Wharf. Like, you cannot make this up. This is like film worthy. and I didn't speak English or anything. So, I've been a tour guide in Spanish. It's always been due to my personality and for being friendly that I always move to the next thing. But it really is very much like that. And I find in this city is who you know.
Yeah. I was just curious, thinking about, 12 years back, you moved to London, and your resume, your last job says your last job was in Puerto Rico. What was that experience like applying for jobs, like not knowing anybody? Like, what was that first touch point? Did you feel like there was any discrimination, or did people just not want to give you a second look because they're like, Puerto Rico, what is?
Yeah, there's certainly a lot of discrimination, and lots of there is this thing about being blue blood here, right? Yeah. And I encountered this in my last job I just had. It was for a very well-known company, but only the people that were friends of friends of friends will get hired, or you went to school together. So he's a member. I was in the members club of industry. So this is how it works. And maybe there is some people that didn't. And also people are like, what? Why are you applying to be a retail person? You're a TV presenter, not qualified. When in reality is that because I have had so much experience and resilience, I will pair up to whatever energy is needed from me. It's created so much awareness of observing, learning, doing whatever anybody else is doing immediately. I mean, the first job I had, it was recommended by a friend, and it was just selling sandwiches in a bike, and it was awful. And then I found, my other friend told me about this tourist guide in Spanish, so I did that, but it was unpaid. It was just based on tips, and I was really under pressure because I didn't have a lot of money. So then I met somebody else, and they recommended to do a hospitality hospitality job. Then I started in the hospitality industry. Once hospitality is easier because everybody wants a pretty girl, whatever, working in the bar. But still, like to get a good job in hospitality, like the one I got before this job, it was also I needed to get to know somebody that will introduce me to the person so my CV will go through. I remember I applied to Soho House many times and I never got called. Only when I met somebody that put me in Soho House, then I got into Soho House, and that's how I got to this job that I'm now. So it's been a journey.
I think there's a lot of people that will probably move and think, okay, after the couple of tries, okay, maybe it's not working out. So I'm gonna, maybe try something different, or move somewhere else, or move back home. I mean, you've been there 12 years, right? 12 years now?
12 years.
12 years now. So what has made you stay? I know we talked about your resiliency and you got a good job. I mean, what's keeping you there?
Well, I was
misquotated. I'm sure London's great.
No. People tell me all the time, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
Where are you from? Puerto Rico. What are you doing here?
Yeah.
I am a single mom, as I mentioned before, and I met my daughter's dad. And so we got married back there and came here to spend a little time here. And then I got pregnant, and then we moved to a small town in England for where he was from. And this was a detriment to my soul completely. And I had to go back home. And at this point, I knew the relationship wasn't working. So we went home. And I saw what the dynamic of him being there was, which was no fluent. And so I decided that we were going to break up. I knew that. And so because I really, I was enjoying being back home and seeing my daughter growing up there. But I realized that maybe it's just fair to go to the place where we met and just try London because it's just there. So came here and the process of getting divorced started, etc. A lot has happened, and I really like the relationship they have, and how it's just a small sacrifice, but it was a tough decision. At the same time, I am happy. I feel accomplished. London is kind of like my city now, and I feel I'm too foreign to be there, too foreign to be here. It's just like this citizen of the world.
Yeah. I mean, you've been taking lots of big steps. You moved from Puerto Rico to London. You're like, I'm a single mom. I'm going to kick ass at this. Watch me.
I mean, it hasn't been easy, but I think I was a very high achiever. When I was 28, I was done with my master's. I lived in London, and then motherhood happened, and that really transformed my life. And I have done things that I've never thought I would be able to or capable of. Even now, we are like, me and my daughter, we have a beautiful relationship. It's almost like Gilmore Girls. I have this perfect top of the tree daughter, Angel, smart, wise, and we are like soul sisterhood, solid, and we help each other out. And I think London is a good place to be. I'm happy during this pandemic that I was in London, because the support system, the social system that they have, me working in hospitality at the time, it was amazing because we were really protected by the system. And I am very, very grateful that we were here, because it would have been a real struggle to be anywhere else. Everything is a confirmation as well, always. This has been a confirmation that this is where we need to be.
What's the pandemic been like overall for you?
I don't think that people listen too much of it, to be honest. People go to the shop, they wear the mask. You see, like, if you stand outside a supermarket, you see people like taking their masks off as soon as they're out the door, like the same in public transport and stuff. And so there is, I don't know, the people are very irreverent towards the whole thing, to be honest. And I mean, it's not surprised that we were late closed here, the latest to close in Europe. Basically, Boris Johnson is just, he cares about the economy. Basically, he's just like trying to protect the economy as much as possible. London was doing very well, and now it's all completely scrapped. And also they have furlough scheme, which is like you get paid 80% of your wages. If you have a company, you can furlough your employees. So basically the government will pay 40 or 50% of your wages, and the employee will pay the other. But the government will give money to the employee too, to do so. And there's a lot of industries that have been furloughed. I was furloughed most of the year, and because I'm a single mother, I had some help to pay my rent as well. So this is monthly, a lot of help that everybody has been getting. So for them, because it's a socialist sort of like system, it has cost a lot of money, more than, I mean, I know Donald Trump and everyone was complaining about giving people $600. I mean, I've received 1.5K every month from the government throughout the whole pandemic.
That's like, I'm laughing and I'm laugh crying right now.
Laugh crying.
Laugh crying because it's just, and it's ridiculous that we have not, that you're, I mean, not that you're getting it. It's ridiculous that our government hasn't done the same for us. I've seen
the richest country in the world, right? Apparently.
Yeah, right. Apparently.
And I know lots of people complain about Boris, but at the same time, he has tried to save the economy. I'm not pro Boris or anything, but he has tried to save the economy at the same time as they are also giving a lot of people help. They have also made terrible mistakes, like telling musicians to retrain. They haven't supported the theater industry. They haven't supported the music industry. But there is a lot of support. There has been a lot of support for people. I mean, for parents, for single parents. I mean, I am extremely grateful. We will be on the streets because and I had to quit my job to go to this other job. But I will still be in furlough until March if I didn't quit my job.
The people that argue against things like stimulus checks, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's such a weird mentality to have. God forbid the people that pay their taxes get assistance for what they pay into. It doesn't make any sense.
This is not a present from them. It's not a present, darling. It's literally you pay for it. It's the same with the Puerto Rican situation as well, with the hurricane and stuff. It's like people, but they're helping. No. They're not helping. You paid for this.
Right.
You paid for it. You paid for this for years. All the taxes that we pay. This is money that you are entitled to, and the government have got to do it. They have not handled the pandemic correctly, certainly not. But at the same time, like, this is the socialist democratic country where they have to. We pay a lot of taxes for it. And you have got to come together and put a solution for the people.
Right.
And I know lots of people complain, but like really, compared to what I see my family and friends getting, there is a lot of support.
Yeah. Do you think Boris getting COVID changed his mentality, or was the government always providing support?
There was no chance they would not be able to not support. So if everyone become homeless, you go to the office there and they have to provide you with a house. This is not like America. If I am a single mother and I go to the Greenwich Council where I live and I say I have nowhere to live, they have to provide accommodation. Wow. So they don't want the monster to get bigger.
What is that like finding Boricuas in the diaspora in England?
Yeah, so it's a very funny story because I was immersed in this course, and then I went back to home, then I became a mother. And then I was like all alone living in this small town, and the Olympics happened, the 2012 Olympic. And my friend Jorge Rodriguez Fish, who is a filmmaker, and he was sort of like directing the whole T-Mobile operation, T-Mobile Puerto Rico operation in London that they sponsored the athletes. And he was sort of like in charge of making clips to sort of like edit and send to La Isla. And so he invited me to this party in London, the Olympic sede of Puerto Rico. They invited me to this party, and there was Colson there, everybody, all the people from the Olympics delegation, all the athletes were there. And he invited me to this party. And there I met a lot of Puerto Ricans that lived in London. And I met Claudia, which is like my Puerto Rican mother or big sister that I have here. She's from Utuado. She's a lawyer. And we check on each other all the time. We cook together. Whoever comes, we go to town and meet them. And it's really beautiful because she's really my closest friend, one of my closest friends, and like literally the backbone of me being here, being a single mom. She's also a single mom of 2 kids. We both divorced British men. We're like, no more. ¡La acabo!
¡Afuera!
¡Británicos fuera de la lista! No bad rep to the Brits, but I'm not marrying one anytime soon. Yeah, so I met her and we were both breastfeeding. There was free mojitos in the bar. We were like, shall we have one? And it was just forever. We met there. Then I got to hang out with some of them, and then that was it. I made contact with Claudia, and then we left it there really because we were all busy. It was not only until Huracán Maria happened that I made with other colleagues that we met there. We sort of like got together to make this page in order to find Puerto Ricans in the UK, because we were going to do a benefit party and we wanted to, access as many Puerto Ricans as possible. So we did a lot of meetings for this party. I mean, when Maria happened, I was extremely confused. My mom, who lives in the south of the island, lost the roof of her house. I didn't have contact with her for 10 days. I was writing on Facebook to anybody that has got, that knows, can go to Guayanilla. Does anyone here, can have anyone heard anything about? And it was really a very difficult moment. My friend came over from Italy literally to take my daughter because I was in the window on the phone, like lost. I was imagining all sorts of terrible things. There was nothing in the news, nothing anywhere. And so I was really touched by this experience. And I received so much kindness from friends and people from here, like sending my mom money on stuff for her to fix her house. And I thought, you know what, we got to give something back. And we did this party. I used to work in Soho at the time. So I used to go to Ronnie Scott's sometimes for una bailadita. And Ronnie Scott's is one of these venues that is like jazz, sort of like venues. It's a very well-known venue in London. And I met all these amazing musicians from Cuba, Venezuela, Brazil, all these people I met from Soho. And they were so kind. This music, Eliane Correa from Cuba, she brought her band, and lots of people came to support us into the event that we did at the O2 in London. It was amazing. I ended up organizing it all by myself in the end because everybody was busy, and they were my friends after all. So I had to coordinate everything. So it was really nice. A lot of work, yeah, but it was fun. It was such a pleasure to do. And then we ended up giving all the money to Taller Salud, which was a charity in Loíza. And they support mothers, women in general. They did amazing work in Maria, and so we gave all the money to this grassroots charity.
So that's what started this all, Hurricane Maria.
And that's it. Then this page exists, and then we meet sometimes. At that time, there's no Puerto Rican restaurant in London. Can you believe?
What?
So I know.
Not even one?
There's a cabinet market there.
Oh, my.
Yeah, there's no Puerto Rican restaurant in London, so we used to meet at this restaurant from Dominican Republic in North London, they made pasteles for us. We spent a crazy night there listening to Bad Bunny and drinking Mama Juana. So that's it. Whenever something happens, we're like, yo, let's meet. Then we got together to do Ricky Renuncia protest as well.
What was that like? Because it seemed like everybody, all the little pockets of the diaspora throughout the United States were having their own marches and protests in solidarity with Laila. What was that like in London?
These protests were all over the world. I saw someone in Japan protesting, like it was everywhere. So basically, because we have now this vehicle of this Facebook page, I posted this thing on the page. Guys, ¿qué pasa? What are we doing? Like, we need to meet. And then we arranged to meet in front of the town hall in London. And we posted it there, and then lots of people started arriving in pavas and banderas, and we were like, I had no idea that our congregation, like, it was gonna go so far, but we were like 20-something people there, and I think that was huge for London, and everyone, oh my God, vea, recoge a tu marido, hasta IKEA tiene mejores gabinetes, there's signs, even IKEA has better cabinets, like It was hilarious. They're so creative. The signs that people came up to. Puta no, putísima. It was so funny. And yeah, we just met there. People were like, what? What's the problem? Like, what are they protesting?
What are they doing?
What are they doing?
To see all these protests happening throughout the world, I mean, solidarity, you know what I mean? It was just a beautiful moment.
It was just like, what, you are not disrespecting us like that, you know? Like, I'm so sorry, little boy. Like, go back to Marista, and you are not disrespecting us like that. And it's like, I think there is something so very special about being Puerto Rican, and I'm so proud, and I can never ever disconnect myself from this. And it's like this thing of, oh, going to have your back, I am going to support you. And I think to see that in Maria, to help, that was beautiful. But to see that, to get this guy that was disrespecting everybody together, the whole world, all Puerto Ricans that you didn't know, it was incredible to see. Everyone in Japan, I see someone, like, I saw a picture of people in Japan, Puerto Ricans in Japan protesting everywhere in the world, and the people that I didn't even know they were here. So many, and I think you're inspiring me so much with this El Paseo, because of how much more is to be done, and to do this charity, to keep continuing this charity. I think it's something to keep doing it, because there's so many. It's very inspiring to keep this going, because once you do the convocation, like, the people did arrive, they did came, and there is and we are many, and very high skilled force too, as well. Very capable people, very intelligent people that are here because they are smart, and they have managed to get a good job and have a good life in such a big, one of the most expensive cities in the world. So that says a lot.
No, definitely. What's it like as a community of Puerto Ricans in London? Like, you mentioned there weren't any Puerto Rican restaurants. That is blasphemy. There should be a Puerto Rican restaurant in every city in the world.
I mean, hello. I want a arroz y habichuela. I have to cook it.
Come on.
There is very little culinary experiences here in London. Anytime that I have anything, I cook something Puerto Rican, just because, I mean, Dia de Reyes or something, even Nochebuena, I did something, and I had my neighbors downstairs came over, because we're so like in the same bubble that we see each other anyway, touch the same doors, we leave the houses the same. So I was like, guys, come up, like, let's have some Puerto Rican dinner. And they were like, oh my God, I definitely would have some sort of like some clientele, but no.
I feel like if there's any one dish that you can win people over with on the Puerto Rican menu, it's arroz con gandules.
Arroz con gandules, 100%.
So you mentioned, like, getting together for protests, getting together for little meetups. Are there Puerto Rican festivals there, or Puerto Rican events, or is there a neighborhood where there's a lot of Puerto Ricanos, or is it just kind of...
Nope. So random. It's really, there is a lot of Latino community in Elephant and Castle. But to be honest, I don't feel like a Latino immigrant here. I have assimilated so much. I even got a job where I am the only Spanish speaker so far, like that, speak Spanish. And they have hired me because of this, because I speak Spanish and Portuguese. So I don't really feel like, because I married a British guy, so all my friends were British, and a lot of my friends are British as well. My daughter is British. I have a friend from Bolivia, like a little sister, that they go to school together. My daughter's school is there is a bit of Latino community, but really no, I'm like an exotic bird here. Like, where I say Puerto Rico, people are like, what are you doing here? Oh my God, can I touch your hair? And it's like, it's a very alienated experience, to be honest. Like, I wish there was a community. I wish there was a restaurant even, or anything. But no, there isn't. We have a little Puerto Rican group of friends. One of them now moved to Ibiza. So we meet, like, let's say on Christmas period or something, we go to a Dominican Republic restaurant, and kind of like, or somewhere Mexican to drink some margaritas, whatever, like, or eat tacos, something that is a bit Latino, but like, I don't really feel like there is sort of like a community where we can, and I think we need to work on that.
How many Boricuas do you think there are in England or in London?
There was more. Loads have left. So I would say, up to my knowledge, like 5.
Wow. That's small.
10
What are
tops.
some of the ways that you maintain your connection to Puerto Rico being so far away?
I can't manage to disconnect myself from it. And even in the elections lately, I was really like, Naomi, stop. You can't even vote. It's so sad. And I can't disconnect. I just can't. It's just not possible. I can't really explain how it's just really close to my heart. From afar, I do as much as possible to open people's eyes and for Puerto Ricans to understand that how important it is to break from this colonized mentality, because being a colony is so much deeper than just being a colony. And unless you have the experience of going out and meeting other people and gaining confidence yourself and realizing that really you are your own island, only then you realize that all of them can be their own island. And it's just hard to explain in words, but I understand it so clearly how we could benefit so much from using our own resources. Perhaps the industry where I work in, like, how great could it be to build a technology startup from an island? You just need a strong, non-corrupted government, a good solar-powered energy, and good internet connection, and you can build a monster from there. There's so many possibilities that they can do if they were allowed to do free commerce and didn't have the Jones Law and all these things. That is just the people don't realize how much better off you could be. Like here, if we have a rich government, you explore the, let's say, cannabis industry, you explore the technology industry, you explore other things, then you pump all that money into tourism and education and get a great university, and it's over for everybody else. Because Puerto Rican people are very smart, very resilient, definitely extremely creative. I know I don't live there, and probably people say, if you don't live there, if you want Puerto Rico to be free, like, why don't you come and live here? Yeah, but my intention is not living off the government, never. And I think we can achieve so much. Build a social system, a good education system, and a good industry. We can create industries, and there's so much possibilities.
I go a little bit back and forth where I'm like, okay, can we make this relationship work? Is it possible?
Yeah.
And then the more I see the United States' outlook towards Puerto Rico from a policy perspective, from the way it's talked about in the media. I mean, when we had Hurricane Maria, you had people in the United States not knowing that Puerto Ricans were U.S. citizens. To me, I'm like, well, what's the point of the relationship then? If it's not equitable, if you're not investing in the success of a colony that you have as a country, well, what's the point of having us around?
Yeah, just stay there. Just keep it quiet. It's not a colony, it's a commonwealth. Right. It's not a commonwealth. Come on.
And we're the oldest colony.
My dad went to a war that we didn't vote for.
Everything from the Spanish-American War, the Puerto Rico was on its own track to independence before the United States invaded and decided, no, this is ours now. You're under our United States umbrella. To, like what you said, the Jones Act, it affects your ability to import, export products. One policy after another that's meant to oppress any type of free thinking, organizing, anything that would help for the betterment of the Puerto Rican people is shunned and said, you don't know what you're talking about. We do. Here's the policy we're putting. And next thing you know, we're in a reality where we have an oversight board that tells us how to handle our money. It really has a ripple effect, these policies. And when you're so far from removed and don't prioritize a place that you claim to have as a part of your country, I mean, again, what's the point of the relationship?
Even the help with the Maria, I mean, how much was that they approved? There was like 20 billion. The Junta just approved 2% or something like that, like crazy. Yeah. And we pay for this. They're not giving you this for free. We pay more taxes than the actual American. People don't realize what we pay and what we get is not equal. It's nowhere near equal. We give and we don't get back.
You're speaking truth. I mean, a good example here is when you're living in the United States, you pay into things like Medicare, Medicaid, and if you are ever in need of that, you're getting those full benefits. In Puerto Rico, they pay the same amount as we do, only receive a small percentage of that back. In what
Yeah.
world does that make sense? And a country that's built on the whole idea of revolution based on no taxation without representation, and there's no representation for Puerto Rico in our United States
In the
Congress.
Congress.
Besides, one that she's just,
Comisionado, who is Republican,
yeah,
and she's there. She goes there. She's with them, and she's not allowed to speak. Imagine how Stockholm syndrome is this. And I go crazy when I go to Puerto Rico. Like, I live in London, and I find an avocado is cheaper than when I go to Puerto Rico, and I have a tree in my garden. How is this possible?
We have to, in the diaspora, we have to leave Puerto Rico
Yeah.
to the United States in order to vote on the future of our home. So you have to leave your home in order to vote on the future of your home. But you can't go back to your home because then you can't just, you don't have a voice in the future of it. So it's just like this weird paradox of almost suffering and feeling like you're just speaking into the void, and people with power don't really care. And
I had a very funny experience when Maria happened, and I had a lot of American clients. At that time, I was doing the door at the Jimi Hendrix job, and I had 2 jobs, and both of them, all the Americans that came to the restaurants in the Members Club, were like, "I'm so sorry. Can I help you? Like, are you okay? Does your mom need anything? Like, please let me know." Like, I was like, "Oh, guys, it's not you, is it? It's just." And when Trump did the paper towel thing, and still there's people that support him, Puerto Ricans that still support him. Like, after he's done this, and people here, the people obviously well-traveled, cultured Americans that obviously know the political situation, that are here, that are probably visiting on business or whatever, they are like apologizing to me for what he did and asking how is everybody. And Puerto Ricans don't realize that. If you're in the island, you don't realize that. You're in an island, your bro's PNP and your abuelo's PNP, and you go there and you just think, and you don't realize how bad it is. And there you're supporting someone that is really messing you up. There's a lot of millennials and a lot of like young people. These guys are very, very much capable of running the country. Los Perú de la UP, they are very much capable of doing it. And just wait, because it's only going to get better. Because there's all this old mentality, all this old education that they gave people back in the day when they were killing Albizu, when they were Romero Barcelona, and all this bad education that they got based on fear. This is over. This is finishing. It's just a generation remaining of old people, and there is lots of young people that are pretty much up for the job, that are amazing, that have got great ideas, that have a lot of hope that there is a new island, a new country and call me hopeful or anything, but I'm putting my money on those kids.
I do want to finish out our time together with a couple things. I'm starting this new question with all of our guests, like our segment. There's no name for it, but it's just about hearing anything that you're reading, watching, obsessed with right now. Ideally, something that has to do with Puerto Rican culture, but it doesn't have to be that. What are some things that you're obsessed with right now?
I am watching this documentary, Rompan Todo, which is the story of rock and roll in Latin America. And it's very amazing that their rock and roll and their history of music have been based on political decisions. And that the music has responded to dictatorships and vice versa. And I am not surprised that Puerto Rico was not included into this journey, because we have always kind of like emulated the American model, where they were experimenting a lot with the status quo politically. So it was really, I've been thinking about it a lot, like, oh my God, obviously, like, they have struggled, they have lost people, brother have disappeared, and all that has been a very sad stories. But this is like, we are a colony pretty much, and we are not part of this Latin American history of rock yet. Although there is an amazing artist and art made in Puerto Rico, and I know there's a lot of underground bands that have done their bits, and it's incredible. And I'm always supportive of everybody. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, we missed out. We are the only colony that has never been liberated. We're the only island that we are the only ones to have never been freed, and that reflects in so many things, art included.
Rompe todo.
Rompan todo.
Rompan todo. Break it.
Break it. Totally recommended because it's beautiful, but it's also so linked to the political situation that it give me so many mixed feelings of being sad about us missing out, but also I don't know how we could have been more influenced. But also, it's a big question out there. It's very interesting to see.
How can our listeners keep up with you? You have a website, social media channels.
Yes, so there is only one Naomi Bonafoux, so everywhere. Not being funny, but it's true. So yeah, everywhere. Just Naomi Bonafoux, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all social media is always Naomi Bonafoux.
Beautiful. Well, Naomi Bonafoux, thank you so much for being on the Paseo podcast.
Oh my God, it's been such a pleasure.